The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello, everyone. Welcome. We'd like to welcome you to our 11.1 community webinar. We're joined today by Dirk Morris, founder and CTO here at Untangle, myself, Katie Benston, the director of sales, as well as the entire staff, sales staff on the back end to answer questions and get everything answered for you as we follow through with this webinar today. As always, we appreciate you taking the time to join us. And before we get started, I wanted to just personally thank everybody who, community and beta testers who helped us push this 11.1 version. We do appreciate all the time that was spent and input from everybody in our community. So thank you very much. Just to let you know, we are recording this webinar, so if you need to drop off at any time or you have somebody who needs to see the webinar after it's been finished, then you are welcome to send that over. A recording will be sent to you 24 hours after we complete our session today, so you should see that sometime tomorrow. Just to cover a few housekeeping rules or helpful hints, if you can't hear us, you are able to change your speaker settings on the right-hand panel there for you, as well as ask questions into your question box, and we will get our sales staff to answer the best that we can. We will be feeding Dirk some questions on the technical side, but please try to keep in mind that try to keep it relevant to the current version and something that would benefit the entire staff or session. So keep that in mind as you're asking questions if you can. That would be greatly helpful. So as we move along, I just wanted to go over the agenda for today. We'll do an overview and a quick demo by Dirk on the current release of 11.1. He'll include some major fixes and changes to the version, as well as the wireless support that we now offer, updated IPsec VPN applications to XOF, and as well as configurable alerts. Other features will be included in his demo. He'll go over the change logs and any new features that he feels that are important to this version. After that, I'll go ahead and touch on the U50W appliance that we actually are shipping today. That's a great new addition to our Untangle offering, and we feel great and confident that you will see the benefits of it as well. We have changed our packaging to nonprofit complete as well as public sector, and I'll go over that a little bit as well at the end, as well as our 5-year offering on subscriptions now. So without further ado, I'll go ahead and pass it over to Dirk so that he can start on the demo and get through the technical aspect of it, and then we'll finish up today, hopefully within 45 minutes. So I'll go ahead and pass that over to you, Dirk.
Thank you, Katie.
Sure.
Thank you, everybody, for joining. Let's transfer over the screen sharing real quick, and I'll walk you through all the new stuff in 11.1. Really excited to be showing off some of the new features, and hopefully I can answer as many questions as we can get to. We've got the questions up on the screen next to me, and I'll answer as many as we can. You guys feel free to shout out to me if questions pop up. But as always, we won't be able to answer all of them. So if we don't get to your question, please follow up with us afterwards. As always, I'll just be walking through the change log to show you all the different features that have changed in 11.1. As always, you can go to wiki.untangle.com, which is all our documentation. That takes you here, click on change logs, and you can read about all the changes in 11.1, and I'll walk through most of these today. Before we do that, I will just say a couple words. As always, 11.1, you can download it on the website today. You can do a new install in 11.1. Upgrades will be rolling out over time. So if you're on an existing 11.0, 10.2, 10.1, whatever, you will see an 11.1 upgrade within weeks to months. It actually probably won't be that long, but you will not see it probably right now. There's only upgrades available to some number of machines, but over time, we'll make those available to everybody.
Can everybody hear Dirk at this point? We had a couple people say it was a bit quiet.
I can hear you guys on
Let us know if you're having trouble hearing.
Okay, I'll keep going on wireless support. Hopefully everybody can hear me. So we were really excited, obviously, to add wireless support. It's been in the making for a long time. Unlike traditional network cards, wireless is not quite so easy. They all work a little bit differently. They have different technology stacks. So it's not as simple as just supporting wireless like we support most network cards. So we started out by supporting a select few that we know will work. Those are most of these drivers. And obviously, the one that we can guarantee works is the U50W. The U50W is a really nice server, quite fast, and has really powerful wireless cards. So if you're wanting to try out Untangle wireless, I would suggest you do that. Or you can try one of these wireless cards. Just be aware that this is still, using your own wireless card is still pretty experimental. But the basics is, you get 2.4, you get 5.0, the two different bands. If you want to do simultaneous dual band, you need 2 cards, just like always. But other than that, it works just like any regular wireless or any regular non-wireless card. You can configure it bridge, you can configure it as a IP, have host connect with your SSID and all that. So it makes a great solution for your office if you don't want to run a separate wireless access point. It also makes policy management, things like that for wireless users a little bit easier. Any questions on the wireless side? I'm going to keep going. We can always loop back if there's more questions. IPsec and XOF. IPsec, there's actually a lot of changes under the covers. You probably won't notice much in the UI. Under the covers, we went to an entirely new IPsec engine, a newer one that we think is much more promising. Let me go ahead and install it so I can show it. Behind the covers, we were using a package called FreeSwan to do some of the IPsec VPN technology. Now we're using a package called OpenSwan, which should give you a more stable experience, connect to more different types of servers. And the big new feature that we've added is XOF. So for those of you who have ever used L2TP, L2TP is a tunneling protocol that you can connect through Untangle to do full tunnel VPN. So for example, I have an iPhone and I want to filter it even when it's off-site. You can set up L2TP so that all the traffic comes into Untangle and then out and is completely protected and filtered and monitored and all that. So it's a great solution for schools and offices that want to protect remote devices or iPads or whatever. The problem with L2TP is that it's an older protocol like PPTP, and it really has a lot of issues with NAT. So we're excited to be now offering XOF as an option. And XOF, obviously I don't have my Android phone here to show you, but if you go into the settings in your XOF and you create a secure tunnel, there's 2 different types of tunnels you can create. One is L2TP and one is XOF. So now we support XOF as well, which is an additional tunneling protocol, which is great for people both with Apple and Android devices to be able to tunnel through Untangle remotely. The benefit there is just that they get complete protection even when off-site. So, and since it's not like OpenVPN, OpenVPN is great, but OpenVPN is also an application. With L2TP and XOF, you can actually set it in their phone or iPad as an administrator, excuse me, and then assure that they can't disable that functionality. So that they're getting filtering no matter where they go and they can't disable it. So that's the 2 features of L2TP and XOF that are different than OpenVPN. There's a question about will we have to reconfigure existing IPsec tunnels? No, everything on upgrade will be pretty much the same. What machines that you recommend with the wireless card built in? Obviously the U50W, that's the one we've done all of our testing with. It's got a powerful wireless card. It's actually got 2 wireless cards. You can do simultaneous dual band on both 2.4 and 5.0. All right, I'll keep moving on. Lots of questions, sorry, we're just looking over and reading them, trying to catch up what's relevant. Alerts, all you long-term users will love this, obviously. A lot of users have been asking for this one for a long time, so we're happy to finally have something that I think will meet most people's needs and is extremely configurable. So, let me just jump over into the UI for reports. Actually, I got an alert this morning. Well, I'll bring it up in a little bit after I show it. there's now two rules, or two tabs here, Alert Rules and Alert Event Log. Alert Event Log will show you all the alerts that have been logged recently. You'll see we had an alert this morning at 3:56, or yesterday at 3:56 p.m. that the WAN went offline. This is our Comcast connection actually went down. We have multiple WANs here on this gateway. So the fact that this went down wasn't the end of the world, but it sent an email alert saying, hey, one of your WANs is down, which is a great new feature. You can configure what you're alerted about in the Alerts Rules tab. There's a bunch of examples there. They're not all enabled by default. They're really just meant as examples. So you can pretty much create an alert based on anything that's logged into the database as an event. So if there's an event for it, like there is for all web visits or sessions or WANs going down or anything, you can pretty much create an alert based on that event. You have to actually read into the event itself. If you look over here, you can see the information about the event, in this case, as a JSON object. And you create these rules that say, here's the events I want to know about. Most of the ones that are there are actually pretty decent. Free disk space is low, server load is extremely high, memory is low, host is in the penalty box. Depending on your rules, you can put them in the penalty box for whatever reason. But there's also some examples, like a virus is blocked. You probably don't really want to alert on every single virus block, but actually HTTP viruses being blocked is somewhat interesting because unlike SMTP viruses, which come in all the time and not really interesting in any way, HTTP viruses being blocked means somebody actually downloaded something. So you may want to alert on that. It's just an example. You could also alert on every single violation, or when somebody goes to porn, or when somebody looks for a job, or whatever you care about. Failed logins, doing large downloads. Again, these are just examples of how to craft different rules. This would be any request where the length is over a certain size in bytes. So they're really powerful. You can create all sorts of rules to do all sorts of different things. There's two actions at the bottom of every rule. One is just log the alert. If you log it, it's going to go into the alert event log. And if you send an alert, that's going to send you an email. Obviously, if you set up some alerts, like if I set up this host is using BitTorrent, and somebody opens up BitTorrent, well, it's going to create 300 sessions all with BitTorrent, and it's going to send me 300 emails. That's not ideal. So there's also ability to limit frequency to once per 60 minutes in this case. So I'm not literally alerted 300 times when somebody opens BitTorrent. So you probably want to go craft these carefully so that you don't flood your email box. And what it does, by the way, for those of you on upgrade, if you don't have an email set for your administrator account, you won't get any of these. So you need to go in here into your config admin, make sure your emails are set. It's going to alert all these people. So you need to make sure your emails are set. Now in the wizard, actually, it asks you for an administrator email. It's optional, but it will use that administrator email, plug that in so that you get reports and you get alerts by default. But if you don't set it, obviously, you're not going to get email alerts. Give me 2 seconds to read through some of the questions. Alerts do include WANs going down. Obviously, the issue with WANs going down and sending alert is if your WANs go down, you can't necessarily send email. So you got to make sure your email configuration on Untangle is carefully crafted so that it's able to send email with one of your WANs being down. The default usually works fine, but if you're relaying through one WAN, that's obviously not going to work. Yes, you can specify who gets alerts, obviously, by going into Config Administrator. I think I covered that. Good to see you, WebTool. Is there an email test function? Yes. I should actually cover this. This is worthwhile. Go to Config Email. Use the email test here to make sure your emails are working. Click Send. It'll send a test email to make sure Untangle can send email. If this doesn't work, you won't get alerts. So it's worthwhile actually configuring this. Most people can just get away with the default settings. Sometimes you actually have to set up, as we do here, a relay. So go here to send email. Hopefully this will actually work. Well, I got an alert this morning, so it must work. Yes. So now I would go check my email and make sure I got it. If I open up my email, go to ports. Give Thunderbird a second to start chugging. So this is an alert that was sent yesterday about the WAN going down. It says the text of the rule, it actually shows the event that triggered it, and then it just says a generic message about it being automated and the time and all that information. So I think people will be really happy with that. If you need help crafting rules, these are some of the more complex rules to create in Untangle, because you have to understand the JSON object that represents the event and then craft a rule that matches the event that you want to alert on. So if you need help with that, jump on the forums, contact us as support, use some of the examples. It's one of the more advanced features that we have.
Hey, Dirk.
Yes.
We got a couple questions. Folks were wondering if you could go directly from 9 to 11. And with the upgrade from 9 to either 10 or 11, it's going to require a reinstall. Do you want to just briefly cover the upgrade?
Sure, absolutely. So if you're on 9.4 or before, and you want to move to 10 or 11 or anything beyond 9.4, you need to do a reinstall. There is no upgrade path. It's kind of like Apple going from OS 9 to OS X. There is no way to upgrade. It's a completely different networking platform, completely OS underneath the covers. There's a whole bunch of reasons why we didn't allow an upgrade from 9.4 to 10.0. So in order to get on the new platform, you just need to reinstall and configure it the same. We can actually help you do that. If you need help with us, you can email us at support@untangle.com. We'd be glad to help you out with that. But really, it's not too difficult. Then if you're a subscriber, you just need to transfer your subscriptions over to the new server, and you're good to go.
The other question we had was folks who are already running Untangle and want to be able to just throw in a wireless card. What is your advice for those people?
My advice is you can try it, but we're in a tough situation here in Untangle, because if we say, oh, that's definitely going to work, then people get very upset when it doesn't work. In general, we try to make stuff work with all hardware that we can, but we're not Microsoft. We don't have people writing drivers for us. We don't have fleets of thousands of engineers to write drivers all day. So, these cards generally we think will work, but we can't guarantee it. The only way to really get guaranteed working is with the U50W. Over time, I hope to improve the wireless support so that we support more different types of cards. It just turns out that wireless is newer, obviously, than wired networking, and the wireless networking stack is not as standardized. Versus you can plug in a wired card and pretty much any of them are going to work. That's not really the case with wireless. The wireless stacks are converging, but they're still very different. Each card works differently. They have different APIs. They have different ways to turn on this functionality that's not supported in that one, and so on. So there's no easy answer there. Unfortunately, the answer is you're going to have to buy a lot of cards and try them and do your homework. Generally, I'd start with one of these cards. Or obviously just get the U50W, because we've done a lot of work in making sure that one works and works well with good performance. Okay, I see a lot of questions. I'm going to keep going. I think I will cover some of these questions and see questions about reports and bandwidth and stuff like that. So I think I will cover most of these questions in the upcoming parts. Real quick, for those of you power users that get into the terminal and use the shell, obviously a lot of people like to do this in Untangle. It is essentially just a Linux server with a bunch of Untangle technology running on top of it. And we like to keep the terminal accessible for power users because you can do lots of useful things down there if you're familiar with Linux. In the past, we had a separate password for the terminal versus the administrator. That's now no longer the case. When you change the administrator password, it's basically going to set the terminal or root password on the device to the same password. So, and that's, again, if you have multiple administrators, it's going to use the admin password. So you no longer have to set it separately on the device. That's somewhat convenient because that means you no longer have to plug in a keyboard monitor to set it if you didn't set it in install time, so you can enable SSH and get into it on the command line without having to do that. So just be aware of that. It's not going to change anything on upgrade. If you already have a different password for your root account and your admin account, it will continue to have a different password on upgrade, but when you change the admin password, it's also going to set the shell password. And I saw Webflow, you asked a question. It doesn't do vice versa. If you change the root password after you change administrator, it's not going to re-change it. It only syncs it when you change the admin password. So hopefully that makes sense. I think it'll be a little bit more intuitive. That's really how most products out there work. again, warning, changing crazy things on the command line can get you into trouble. And we also, by the way, changed the new partitions to be ext4 based, which is a new file system with better performance, and a couple other changes under the covers on the Linux stuff. Okay, continuing on, new intrusion prevention beta. This is a beta for 11.1, so I'll put a little asterisk there. This is, when you upgrade, you will not see a new intrusion prevention. You'll still have the old beloved intrusion prevention, but we're working on updating it. The thinking here was we want to use not only the rules, but the engine of a leading intrusion prevention engine. So we looked at a bunch of engines, ended up standardizing on the Snort, which is, of course, probably the #1 intrusion prevention engine out there, and the Snort rules. And this one actually runs Snort. So if you're familiar with that, you'll be in good shape. It's a little different. It doesn't run on the top of the rack anymore. It runs down at the bottom. And it runs on all traffic going through Untangle, aside from bypass traffic. It has way, way, way more rules than the old one. So we've created a lot of wizards and stuff to help you decide which ones to install. So when you first install, you need to run the intrusion detection prevention setup wizard. That'll walk you through, here's what rules you may want to enable. And it really depends on how much memory you have, because you need to be careful. You don't want to go enable all sorts of rules if it turns out, well, you only have a gig of RAM, because then all of a sudden you'll be using 300 megs of RAM alone on your intrusion prevention. So the setup wizard will help you guide, hey, this is what we suggest, and you can tune it saying I want to enable these or not. And then after that, you can go to the rules, and here you can see all sorts of thousands of rules. And you can, let me just open one so you can see, you can choose to log or block, and also read up more information on each one of these rules. There's also a search function. I would encourage you to use it. So let's say I care a great deal about port scans. You can search for port scan and say I want to log every time somebody does a port scan. And these are all enabled in this case. And you can go test this with just Nmap, and it will log tons of stuff about port scans and all sorts of other things. So here you can see recent stuff that was caught on this network. So it does catch a lot of stuff depending on what rules you have enabled. As always, this is a beta for the first 11.1. We'll probably actually replace the old intrusion prevention 11.2. And the other thing we're looking at is working with some commercial providers for commercial rule sets, so we can actually have an intrusion prevention paid option. So there's a couple of companies out there that provide some paid signatures that we think will be a great addition to Untangle. We're looking into do that as well. So again, that's just a beta. You won't see it on upgrade. There's instructions in the wiki for enabling it if you want to, but hopefully that will be coming on 11.2. When you're upgrading to 11.1, it's not going to change your file system type. It will still be ext2, I believe, or maybe 3. You'll need to do a reinstall, but I wouldn't really bother for that. ext4 is really better for SSDs. So unless you're on SSD, it's not really going to matter. A couple of nice features for those people who use VRP. In the past, it was really hard to see which VRP. VRP is a virtual router redundancy protocol, I believe. Hopefully I got that right. Anyway, it allows you to run 2 untangles or 3 untangles or however many you want for redundancy, so that one goes down, literally seconds later the other one picks up the traffic and starts routing it. It's for bigger networks that want to have no downtime. And it works great. It's actually quite simple to configure and works really well. The problem was you couldn't really see which one was the active host at any given time, so we added that to the UI. Finally, it makes debugging and testing a little bit easier. Tons of UI improvements, especially making networking save and load faster. So nowadays, networking, the window opens a lot faster because it's actually querying a lot of this information in the background. You'll see it pop in when it gets it. So the window opens a lot faster. It's a much nicer experience. And also saving networking is much less intrusive. So if I add just a port forwarding rule here, it's not going to restart necessarily all networking. It's tries to be smart and restart as few things as are impacted as possible. So if I just add a port forwarding rule, it's just going to add that rule. It's not going to restart your other interfaces. That really helps if you have bridge, because bridges take a long time to restart. It also helps you run OpenVPN, because then you don't have to restart the OpenVPN daemon, which boots everybody off for 30 seconds. So those are some nice features I think will really improve the usability. The session viewer performance is much, much better. In fact, I think this is probably one of the most exciting features of 11.1 for those of you who are in there frequently. You know, there's always the view sessions and view hosts down here, which, by the way, power user tip, you can actually click on the things at the top, click on sessions, it'll open the session viewer. This is much, much faster. So for those of you who have bigger networks and have like 10,000 sessions at any given time, the session viewer is way, way better. In fact, if you just click refresh right here, you can see how much faster it is now. And again, this just shows you all the current sessions going through the server. Here you can see, you know, all the different things. There's my laptop doing GoToMeeting. So that's the session that's probably displaying my screen right now. You can kind of see everything that's going on in the network. Application control, you can always just add columns and things. There's a lot of columns that aren't shown by default because there's just too much information to show. So as always, you can add things as you see fit. So I really encourage you to use the session viewer. It's much faster and really can help with troubleshooting a lot of things. And by the way, you can just look here and see why HTTPS inspector and SSL filtering is so critical nowadays, because almost everything is over SSL nowadays. Every single one of these is over SSL, compared to the regular HTTP sessions, which are almost non-existent. They're way down here. That's by HTTPS inspection, and SSL handling is so important nowadays. Anyway, session viewer, much faster. The same is true with the host viewer. Again, you can click on the host, and it's going to bring up a list of all the hosts on the network and all the information about them. And again, there's a bunch of hidden columns that you can add to get more information, you know, about quotas remaining and when they expire and penalty boxes and all sorts of stuff, as well as, you know, what kind of OS they are, the names, the username associated with them. We don't actually use usernames on this network, how much quotas remaining, all sorts of things. So always keep in mind to use the session viewer, host viewer, and the event logs for debugging. Those are your three best tools, and we've tried to make them much better in 11.1.
Hey, Dirk.
Yes.
We had several people asking when the 11.1 upgrade will be available, and did you want to just cover how we do that?
We roll them out over time to existing servers, so we don't, a bunch of reasons. So we don't flood our servers, but also we get them first to people on our priority list, and then people that request early upgrades, and then we roll them out to a population kind of randomly over time, so we don't flood our data center. If you want it now, let's say you have a box you want to try out and you want to see all the new features now, you can email us at support@untangle.com and get on the quote early upgrade list. We are about halfway through the priority list right now, so people on the priority list, about half of them have the upgrade, and then after that, we'll start to roll them out to the population of a whole. So over the next couple weeks, I would say 3 to 4 weeks, everybody will have access to the upgrade, and you'll see it in the upgrades available. And if you have automatic upgrades on, you'll upgrade automatically, probably late at night. The new update size-wise isn't huge. We didn't do a Debian update underneath or anything, so it's, I don't know, 100, 200 megs. Some people are asking about the ability to see bandwidth. The bandwidth monitor uses the same thing as the session viewer, so it's also improved because it's actually the same window. It just shows you the different speeds. So what it's going to do is measure for a couple seconds and then show you what's using bandwidth on your network. So here you can see the top applications are all these GoToMeetings. That's pretty much the only thing using bandwidth on our network right now. And it's not a ton. I mean, 30K a second times 4. So, you know, we're only doing a couple, probably 100K a second on this network total. Yeah, which you can see up here. And yes, we are considering expanding these options to include more information about different NICs, more graphs, better reports. We're all looking at that for future versions. So I've seen a couple questions along those lines. We added the NAT setting into OpenVPN. So for those of you OpenVPN users that care about that, you'll be pretty excited. Where is it? Oh, I'm on the wrong machine. I guess I have to install it to show you the settings. But basically, there's a setting now that disables the NAT functionality to WAN-based or LAN-based devices, so that if you have a bunch of OpenVPN tunnels, it doesn't necessarily NAT to a local address. You can disable that. I would still encourage you to keep the defaults, which does NAT, because it works around a lot of firewall issues, especially Windows firewalls and client-based firewalls and things like that, as well as routing issues, because it's obviously going to talk to your local device with a local address. So it solves a lot of issues. That being said, some people prefer it the old way, the way that 9.4 worked, so you can now revert to that. So this setting now is available. And as always, it's going to NAT any traffic going on your WAN, because otherwise it won't work. Added a gray list event log to the new gray listing functionality we added in 11. Now there's an event log for that in Spam Blocker, and a whole bunch of other enhancements and things in Bugzilla that we didn't have time to get into. But I think people will be really happy with this release. A whole lot of questions. A lot of them are very specific about setups or configuration abilities. As always, please jump on forums.untangle.com or email us at support@untangle.com, and we can hopefully help with some of these issues. Yes, you can prioritize VoIP with QoS or bandwidth control. I'd probably use QoS. Will cloud reporting be enabled in the future? That's one of the things we're certainly looking at. We're looking at kind of all sorts of ways that we can improve reports, including merging multiple boxes in the same reports, and supporting cloud-based reporting, and so you don't have to have a hard drive. We're looking at a lot of things on the reporting side that we think over the years will really improve the reports we have now, and really, unfortunately, improve the ability to see some of the data that we already store. We actually store lots of data. You can't necessarily sort it in useful ways. Sometimes this can be a little frustrating, so we're hopefully improving that as well. The upgrade, somebody's asking about, will it shut down the internet? For the most part now, upgrades do not actually cause downtime. They do turn off filtering for a minute or two, depending on the speed of your box. But actually, it will continue to pass traffic. So, I mean, it really depends on, obviously it's going to reset all sessions. It really depends on your tolerance. So, yeah, you can upgrade in the middle of the day. We do it sometimes. Nobody even notices. But it does reset your sessions. So if you're, on Skype or something, you're going to get disconnected. But the downtime is really minimal. Has the OpenSSL patch been added? As far as I know, every single patch from upstream, and the Debian guys are really fanatic about those kind of patches, Heartbleed and Bash and all that stuff has been fixed. We actually do those really quickly. Those didn't really affect us just because of the way we use those technologies. We just happen to not be affected. But nonetheless, we patched OpenSSL and Bash and all those things anyway, just because people feel better, obviously, if you do it. And there's no real downside to including security updates from upstream. Is it possible to do a site-to-site VPN on the paid versus free version? In the free version, you can do OpenVPN site-to-site. IPsec VPN application is paid, and you can buy it. It's also part of the complete package. So it really depends on what kind of VPN you want to do. OpenVPN works great. Performance of IPsec in our experience is better. And IPsec obviously works with other devices. third-party devices that you may have out there, Cisco's and whatever. So that's nice, but you know, they're very different protocols. Yeah, sorry. Let me touch on the updates one more time, make sure I'm clear, because I guess I wasn't. 10.0, 10.1, 10.2, 11.0, they can all upgrade to 11.1. In fact, after the 10.0 timeframe, we'll probably never have another version that won't upgrade. We certainly hope not to do that. The only version that doesn't upgrade to future versions is 9.4 and prior. So if you're on 9.3, you can update to 9.4, and then you need to reinstall from there if you want to get on a newer version. Again, the reason we did that is because we changed the way networking worked, and the settings could not be adapted. Actually, there's settings now that don't make sense in the old version because we changed the way things work. So it wasn't as simple as writing converter. And also, we took the opportunity, since we're doing that, to change lots of other major design decisions that were very difficult to change in a new version of software while supporting the old version of software. So we use breaking backwards compatibility as an opportunity to fix a lot of the things that we've always wanted to fix over the years with how we do certain things. So 10.0 is a completely new install, but 10.0 and everything after will upgrade to 11.1 as soon as it's available. And hopefully, by the way, that will be true for many versions to come. We certainly have no plans to introduce another version that will not upgrade anytime soon, if ever.
Again, and if you want to just, we've gotten many questions about, can you just simply export the configuration from 9.4 and import it into 10 or 11?
Yeah, you can in some of the cases. So let's say, you know, your big list is web filter pass list. You know, some people have huge pass sites lists here, you know, where they're doing a lot of filtering, and, you know, they have a big list here. You can export it here and import it into your next version. The reason I hesitate to say that is because not all of these work. Obviously, as different versions go by, we change a lot of the functionality. And so the export from one version isn't guaranteed to work on the import of another version. It turns out most of these do, like this past sites, but not all of them, because some of the fields have changed, or new fields have been added, or they work completely different way than they did 9.x. I mean, 9.4 was 2-3 years ago now. So not everything does import, but some things do. The big things like web filter pass list do. But in general, I would just reinstall and use it as an opportunity to reinstall from scratch. You'd be surprised at how quickly you can set up Untangle. It just takes a matter of minutes. I know it's not super fun to figure out and replace your hardware, but I think you'll be really happy with the experience after you've done so. Thanks, Donald, for the feedback about IPsec VPN being amazing. The new one should work fine too. The new one is actually virtually identical in all ways. It just has a different engine. So we also added a nice little feature that monitors the tunnels in the background. And when it detects that a tunnel's been up for a while and then it goes down, it actually tries to restart it automatically, which IPsec is not always great about doing. For some reason, you know, you get in these cases where you get tunnel instability with certain vendors or certain cases, and it's really hard to figure out why. So we just added a little daemon in the background that monitors that. I don't even know if I called it a daemon, a process that monitors those tunnels in the background and brings them up automatically if they go down. So that's been working really well for us as well. Yes, we still use Bitdefender for the virus blocker. It's really probably the best we've worked with over the years. We use Mailshell for the spam blocker, and that's also been the best. So we're really happy with our providers currently on the OEM technology side. We really think we have the best of the best. We'll always continue to evaluate those and look at different options. But right now, we're happy with both the performance of all the upstream technology providers. And most of those are hidden, but if you're on the forums or you're a frequent user, you know, it's not like we hide that information. If you read the documentation, you can see where the technologies come from. And we always look at new technologies, but right now we're really happy with the technologies we have. They're all really good, some of the best. Does the new IPsec work in bridge mode? Yeah, I mean, IPsec doesn't really have a lot to do with your network configuration. You can pretty much use it in any network configuration you want. Scanning through the questions real quick to make sure I cover most of the stuff.
And just to reiterate to everybody, if we don't get to your questions, feel free to email sales@untangle.com, and we can get you routed to either the correct department for that information, or we can get it answered for you as well. There's no way for us to answer all the questions online as well. So.
Yeah, unfortunately, there's tons of questions. I think we covered most of the stuff, especially related to 11.1. So I think this may be a good point to hand it back over to you, Katie, so we don't run too long and you can cover the last 2 slides.
Absolutely. You want to hand?
Again, if you guys have more questions, I'm sorry we didn't get to them all. I'd like to spend 2 seconds to thank everybody that helped us test this, and all the community developers. Webful, you're always appreciated. A lot of you guys help out a lot on the testing as well as development and feature side. We're always on the forums. Come chat with us and ask questions, and we'll get to them. And always on the support side, if you'd like to see the new version immediately or just need help, support@untangle.com. Send us an email, open up a ticket, and we'll get back to you as quick as we can.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Dirk, for your time today and your technical expertise, as we always call it. We do appreciate all the work that you've put in, as well as your team on the development side and testing and everything. We think this is a great release. We hope everybody will see the benefit of moving up to the newest version, and we'll go from there. To follow up and to end, hopefully in the allotted 45-minute time frame that we gave for today, I just wanted to cover the new U50W appliance that we're offering, shipping out today. This is a similar caliber to our U50 that we offer today. However, there's some enhanced performance features, as we mentioned before in the webinar, the Wi-Fi capability. You can purchase it standalone with the free package, or you're able to purchase it with the complete package software, as well as our new nonprofit complete package. And I'll cover those 2 new packages in just a second. We are shipping in the U.S. only for now, and hope to maybe get that changed to global in the near future. But as of right now, we are shipping within the United States. So if you have any questions or have any need for this new device, please email sales@untangle.com so that we can get you pricing and answer any technical questions that you have for your environment specifically. Lastly, we did hear quite a few of our customers and channel partner base with concerns about the user bans. So we have heard you and changed it. We've gone with 2 new packages. This is in conjunction with our old Education Complete package. We've now moved it over to a nonprofit complete and a public sector complete package. These are both available to qualifying institutions. Nonprofit is for NGOs, private schools, and religious organizations, as you see here. And we also offer that package at the lowest user band of 1 to 50. Whereas our old education package was 1 to 150. So we were leaving out quite a few organizations that just didn't have the need for up to 150 devices. We've answered that call and are now providing this great lower rate and lower cost package for qualifying institutions. As well, we also offer still the 1 to 150 public sector complete package. And this again is for government institutions, public schools, and libraries. So if you have any questions regarding those 2 packages, again, feel free to email sales@untangle.com so that we can work with you and get you pricing. But I did want to take just a second to touch base and show you where you can find this information on our website. So hopefully most of you are familiar with our website. If not, I recommend that you visit quite often. We do change things from time to time, as well as update any of our information here first. So software packages are available here from the website. Our new appliance offering is here. I would highly recommend taking a second to look at the specs and see if the U50W is something that would be beneficial to your organization. And we're again happy to help you when needed. That's basically all I had. Amy or anybody else on the line have anything else to add? If not, I'll go ahead and wrap up for today. Again, we're available at sales@untangle.com. Feel free to call us as well. Numbers listed below. Reach out to support if you have any technical questions, and we appreciate everybody's continued support of the Untangle solution.
Thanks, Katie.
Have a great day, guys. Take care.